Peter Pan. Once upon a time in London, there lived a lovely family, Mr. and Mrs. Darling and their 3 children who they loved dearly, Wendy, John and Michael. One day, Mr. and Mrs. Darling had to attend a dinner party.
Wendy, take care of your brothers. Make sure they sleep on time. We'll be back home soon, honey. Take care.
Don't worry, Mother. Have a great time. Bye.
Wendy and her brothers had dinner, and she tucked them into their beds. She then sat down to read a book. Suddenly, she noticed a shadow on the wall. It immediately disappeared into a table drawer.
What was that? A shadow? Strange.
She heard the rumbling of the tree leaves. She looked outside at the trees and saw a boy flying in the sky.
Wow, is that a boy flying? How can this be happening?
Wendy decided the only way to know was to talk to the boy, so she called out to him.
Hello there, who are you?
Me? I'm Peter Pan. Who are you?
I'm Wendy. How can you fly like that? And what are you doing here so late?
Well, I can fly, thanks to the pixie dust of a fairy called Tinkerbell.
Pixie dust? A fairy? A fairy's real?
Of course they are. I've been looking for my shadow. Have you seen it anywhere?
Oh, so that shadow belongs to you. Yes, I've seen it. It's in my room.
Well, it's not sticking back on me, so I'm wondering what to do.
I have an idea. Come on in.
Peter Pan flew into the room and Wendy opened the drawer. Out came the shadow. Wendy ran to get a needle and thread. Peter held the shadow to his shoe while Wendy sewed it to the shoe.
Phew! Thank you, Wendy. Now my shadow isn't going.
Wendy was curious to know more about Peter. As they spoke, Peter told her all about where he came from, the magical place called Neverland, filled with fairies, pirates, and lost children. When Wendy heard this, she knew she wanted to go to Neverland.
Can you take me to Neverland?
Yes, why not?
Can John and Michael come along?
The more the merrier.
Before Peter could say a word, Wendy ran to wake up John and Michael. She told them they were going on a magical trip and brought them to Peter. Peter sprinkled pixie dust on everyone and they flew into the sky to Neverland.
Follow me. We should hide in the hollow trees before the pirates see us.
Wendy, John and Michael followed Peter with their faces filled with wonder.
Time to meet the lost children of Neverland.
Hello everyone, I'm Wendy and they're my brothers, John and Michael.
Are you lost too?
No, Peter brought us here. We live in London.
Do you have parents?
Yes, we do. They're out for dinner right now.
The kids were so excited to see them that they all asked Wendy plenty of questions and she answered them all.
All right, that's enough. Time for dinner. And what's after dinner?
Bedtime stories.
They love my bedtime stories. I know a lot of them.
Oh, that's nice.
Everyone finished their dinner and it was time for the stories. All the kids tucked themselves in a cozy corner. Peter told them how he fought the pirates and saved the Indian princess Lily. Since then, the pirates saw him as an enemy and Indians became his friends.
I swung my sword and pushed the captain into the sea. A crocodile then found him and bit his hand off. Now he has a hook instead of a hand. That's why he's called
Captain Hook.
That's right.
All the kids fell asleep after the story, but Wendy and Peter went out to walk in the forest.
Peter, was that a real story?
Of course. You'll see for yourself. But before that, I want you to meet someone.
Peter led Wendy to the place where the fairies lived.
Oh my god, Peter, I feel like I'm in a fairy tale.
Well, Wendy, this is Fairyland. And this here is Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell seemed angry with Wendy and refused to talk to her. So Peter threw some pixie dust and helped Wendy fly again so they could go to a rocky mountain.
Peter!
Shh, Wendy, not so loud. If Captain Hook hears us, we'll be dead.
Why on earth would you bring me here?
You asked me if the story was true. Now look.
From a distance, Wendy looked at the captain and saw that he had one hand and the other arm had a hook. She now knew Peter's story was true.
Let's go back before they know we're here.
As the days went by, the kids became fond of Wendy. She cooked for them, taught them new games, and also told them bedtime stories that Peter Pan didn't know. Peter liked Wendy, but he was jealous that she was a better storyteller and was getting all the attention.
I hate it when Wendy does this. I am the best storyteller ever in Neverland. This is my home, and I am the one everyone must love, not her.
Meanwhile, Captain Hook was waiting for an opportunity to take his revenge. One of his men heard Peter Pan talking about Wendy and told the captain about it.
Ha ha ha. Very well then. Let's see who this Wendy is. Bring her to me.
Wendy wondered why Peter was upset with her. She decided to talk to him about it.
Peter, you seem sad. What's wrong? Do you miss your parents?
Parents? I don't even know who they are, what they mean. Tinkerbell found me when I was lost in the sea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Everything was fine until you came along. I was everyone's favorite, the best storyteller in Neverland. And now, they just want to hear Wendy stories. Wendy, Wendy, Wendy.
Wendy was hurt by Peter's words. She burst into tears.
I think it's time to say goodbye, Peter. I'll leave you and Neverland and never come back again.
She ran into the forest where Captain Hook's men were waiting for her. They kidnapped her and took her to their captain.
Hello, dear girl.
Captain Hook.
Oh, I see I'm popular. Now, I'm going to finally have Peter Pan on my ship, thanks to you. He will come to save you.
The kids in Neverland looked everywhere for Wendy, but they couldn't find her. They ran to Peter for help.
I don't know where she is, and I don't care. Last I saw, she ran into the forest saying she's going away. I hate her.
The kids went into the forest in search of Wendy, but few of them fell into traps set up by the pirates. They became captives while the others escaped.
Peter, the pirates have captured John, Michael, Snow. We must go now.
Where are they now?
Captain Hook's ship. I know where it is.
Peter came up with a plan on how to rescue the kids. Meanwhile, the captain came onto the deck.
Peter Pan, welcome aboard. Isn't it a beautiful day for revenge?
Hook, this is between you and me. Let Wendy and the kids go, or I will feed you to the crocodiles. This time, you lose more than just your hand.
We'll see about that.
The pirates started to cheer for the fight. Tinkerbell knew this was the right moment. She slowly released all the captured kids. Once they were free, she sprinkled pixie dust on Peter and Wendy.
Catch me now, Captain Hook.
No, you cannot fly away. I've been waiting for so long. Stop!
Captain Hook ran to catch hold of Peter. Peter flew to the edge of the ship and pushed Hook into the sea where the crocodile was waiting for a feast.
Peter, thank you for saving me. I was so scared. I miss my parents. I must go home. Please, come with me. Let's grow old together.
Yes, Peter, come with us.
No, you go now. Your parents will miss you. I came to Neverland so I can never grow old. I belong here.
Peter Pan took Wendy, John, and Michael back to London. Mr. and Mrs. Darling were happy to see their children back home. They heard about everything that happened and decided to adopt all the kids.
Peter, are you sure you don't want to stay?
Yes, I am.
Will you visit us?
Of course. Every day.
Peter flew back to Neverland. He visited Wendy's house whenever he missed her bedtime stories. He would sit on the windowsill and listen. And this way, they all lived happily ever after.
Peter Pan by James Matthew Barrie. Wendy, John, and Michael Darling lived in London. One night, Wendy woke to find a strange boy sitting on the floor who was crying. "My name is Wendy," she said. "Who are you? Why are you crying?" "I'm Peter Pan," the boy replied. "I'm crying because my shadow won't stick to me." "Don't cry," Wendy said. "We can fix that." And she sewed Peter's shadows to the tips of his shoes. Peter was delighted. "Fly back to Neverland with me and my fairy Tinker Bell," Peter begged. "You could be our mother and take care of us." Can you teach me to fly? Wendy asked. Peter nodded. Let's wake John and Michael, Wendy said. You can teach us all to fly, and then we will leave for Neverland. The children were soon flying around the room, then swoosh! Out the window they all flew. Wendy, John, and Michael flew behind Peter Pan and Tinker Bell, following the golden arrows that pointed the way to Neverland. Finally, they were flying over the island. The boys live with me and Tinker Bell. The Lost Boys live with me and Tinker Bell. I'm their captain, Peter said. The Indians live over there, and the mermaids live in the lagoon. And there are pirates too, led by Captain Hook. Pirates! Exclaimed Wendy, John and Michael all in the same breath. Wendy was frightened, but Michael and John wanted to see the pirates right away. Hook's the meanest pirate ever, Peter warned, but he's afraid of the crocodile. The crocodile bit off Hook's hand and liked the taste so much that it follows him hoping for more. Luckily for Hook, the crocodile swallowed a clock. It goes tick, mock, and warns Hook when the crocodile's nearby. Oh my God, cried Wendy, not sure if she really wanted to stay in Neverland after all. Peter led Wendy, John, and Michael to his house under the woods. They entered through a door hidden in an old tree stump. When the Lost Boys saw Wendy, they shouted, Hooray! Will you be our mother? I'm only a little girl, Wendy answered. I have no experience. But the Lost Boys looked so sad that she said, I'll do my best. That night, Wendy tucked the boys into bed and told them the tale of Cinderella. Life was pleasant in the cozy house under the woods. Wendy took care of the boys who explored the island during the day. At night they gathered for meals, played make-believe games, and listened while Wendy told them stories. One day, Peter and the children went exploring near the mermaid's lagoon. Suddenly Peter yelled, Pirates! Take cover! The boys ran away, and Peter and Wendy hid. Peter and Wendy could see that the pirates had tied up Tiger Lily, the Indian princess. The pirates had left her on a rock in the lagoon. Peter was afraid that Tiger Lily would drown when the tide came in. He had to save her. In a voice that sounded just like Captain Hook's, he shouted, Set her free! But Captain, the pirates yelled, you ordered us to bring her here. Let her go, Peter roared, sounding still like Hook. Aye, aye, the pirates said, and set Tiger Lily free. She swam quickly back to the Indian camp. When Captain Hook found out what happened, he knew Peter had tricked his pirates. Hook became furious. That night, Wendy told the boys a story about 3 children who left their parents and flew to Neverland. The mother and father missed them very much. The children loved Neverland, but they never forgot their home. Did they ever go back? The Lost Boys asked. Oh yes, Wendy replied. They flew home to their mummy and daddy, and everyone was happy. The story made Wendy, John, and Michael homesick. They decided to fly home the next morning. If you come back with us, Wendy told the Lost Boys, I'm sure our mother and father would adopt you. Hooray, shouted the boys, jumping with joy. Wendy asked Peter if he and Tinker Bell would come home with them too, but Peter didn't want to live where grown-ups could tell him what to do. Peter was sad that his friends were leaving. Still, he wanted the children to arrive home safely, so he asked Tinker Bell to guide them on their trip. Early the next morning, Tinker Bell and the children left the house under the woods, but Captain Hook's pirates were hiding nearby. They captured all the children, tied them up, and marched them towards the pirate ship. Tinker Bell escaped and hurried back to tell Peter what had happened. It's Hook or me this time, yelled Peter to Tinker Bell as they flew off to save Wendy and the boys. On the pirate's ship, Captain Hook demanded, Who wants to become a pirate? The boys shook their heads. Then make them walk the plank, Hook roared. The pirates tried to look brave, but they were afraid. Suddenly, they heard the tick-tock of the crocodile. Now it was Captain Hook's turn to be afraid. But the tick-tock was only Peter imitating the crocodile. He flew onto the deck and shouted, "I've got you now, Hook!" Captain Hook jumped up and swung at Peter with his sword. Peter was quick and stepped away. He slashed at Hook with his own sword until they came close to the edge of the ship. Peter lunged with his sword, and Hook fell into the sea, where the crocodile was waiting for him. And that was the end of Captain Hook. When Peter was certain that Hook was gone forever, he and Tinker Bell set off for London with Wendy and the boys. Wendy's parents were happy to see their children again. Mr. and Mrs. Darling hugged Wendy, John, and Michael and agreed to adopt the lost boys. They asked Peter to stay with them also, but he said, "I'm going to stay in Neverland, where I never have to grow up." "Goodbye then, Peter. We'll miss you," everyone called. Peter Pan and Tinker Bell waved goodbye and flew home to Neverland.
Hello. You all deserve thanks and praise. Without you, our channel would not have reached the best ranks, and without your efforts, success would not have been any reach and goals would not have been achieved. You are the basis for raising this channel and the basis for its progress, and you are the ones carrying the torch of success and development.